Hey, welcome back to the Artie and Lange Show. Excited to have our next guest here. This guy is one of the best guitars. They say thrash metal. I think, that makes one of the best guitars around. I want to make it that specific because that's hard to do, man. He worked with Megadeth, got a new album out, and that is called Inferno, and it's going to be set for a May release, and we're happy to have him here. Marty Friedman. What's up, Marty?
Thank you very much, man. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks. So describe your life. Clearly you've lived all over the world, or you've been.
I've lived in Japan for the last 10 years.
Now, why is that?
There was a period of time, as you said before, I was in a band called Megadeth, fantastic
huge band. Everybody
and
knows.
There was a period of time where I found myself listening to Japanese music exclusively.
No kidding. I don't think I've ever heard what Japanese music actually is.
It's so impossible to describe. It's absolutely insane.
Right.
It's not safe. It's very strange. Anything can happen. Yeah. And it just hit me in the right spot.
And as an artist, you're attracted to that.
Very much
risk-taking.
Well, this is so reflected in the way that Marty plays. Like he plays with these scales, like
dangerous.
The Eastern scales that just sound, exotic.
Right.
It sounds different when Marty plays guitar compared to everyone else.
That's one thing, being a fan and having an influence. But to actually make you move there and live there.
It was really insane. It came to the point where I'm like, well, I'm listening to everything that's going on in Japan and just loving it.
Right.
And then I'm looking at the top 10 in America, and it's like, maybe I find one song that I like.
Yeah.
And then I look at the top 10 in Japan, and I like all the songs, and I'm like, I really want to be in this musical environment. So I just up and left.
That's impressive. I mean, that's a lot of that shows integrity. As an artist,
or insanity, one or the other.
Well, I think they're linked.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah. Well, how did that work? I mean, you're a part of Megadeth. You're in the band for 10 years, and then you just get up and leave the band and go to Japan, where you don't have a band,
right?
And just begin to live there,
right?
And listen to the music, and then start up a solo career.
Right.
Instrumental, solo.
Well, not only that. What I wanted to do was I wanted to put my music in the domestic Japanese music scene.
Right.
Which what you guys probably need to know to preface this is, in Japan, 80% of the music that Japanese people listen to is made in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So
wow.
that other 20% is the rest of the world, like Lady Gaga, Justin Bieber, Metallica, whatever else. That's all in the 20%. So the big majority of what's going on is Japanese music.
Okay.
And that's what I dug.
Right.
And up till that point, up till I moved, I was part of that international 20%. And so I wanted to be part of the Japanese scene, so I wanted to assimilate in there. I got very lucky when I first moved there. I joined the band of one of my favorite singers right off the bat, and that kind of got me into that world for the first time.
What is his name? Give him some props.
It was a female
here.
singer. Her name was Aikawa Nanase. And she, I guess, would be like, if you were to compare to American singer, a sexy Joan Jett.
Okay.
Of pop.
Right.
But there's a lot of room for guitar, and she heard my playing, and she says, you got to join my band. And I'm like, I've been a fan of yours for years. You're the reason I'm here. So it was wonderful, and that just kind of got me into the eyes of a lot of Japanese people.
Is Japanese music influenced by American music? Like, is she influenced by Joan Jett, this woman?
No, it's a funny thing. It's like a lot of Japanese people think that they're copying American music, but if they are, they're doing a really, really bad copy. If they are, it's not. It's really very Japanese. Sometimes it has elements of American music, like loud electric guitars.
Right.
But then the content is very Oriental and Asian, and there's a lot of big contrast, like really sappy ballads that go into really super heavy metal stuff that just kind of wouldn't coexist in America. And I just love that contrast.
Yeah. The music is one thing. Obviously, you love it, and you're a talented musician. You can assimilate. But what about the rest of the lifestyle in Tokyo? I mean, is that where you went, Tokyo? I'm assuming.
Yes,
I mean, how did you do with the rest of life there?
Well, yeah. I mean, I wasn't really
Did you know
worried.
Japanese?
I spoke Japanese fluently before I went there.
That's
so you were that into it that you went and learned the language.
That was just my hobby. Being on the road, you got to have something to do. I mean, you can get into a lot of trouble on the road easily.
Right.
But I was studying on the road. I was actually taking correspondence courses in Japanese when I was touring. So I'd be studying in airplanes and backstage and stuff. And by the time I went to Japan, I was already fluent. And then just living there.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it really helps.
To be able to read and write Japanese,
Read and write,
then you could, because if you can't do that, that's really difficult.
It doesn't get any more different from English language-wise, right? I mean, you've got an entirely different alphabet. I mean, how many characters are in the
it's
Japanese
really endless.
alphabet?
I mean, even Japanese people don't know all of them.
And the
that's
way,
incredible.
and the intricacy of each letter is so, like, I used to do a joke when I first started stand-up. I said I went to Tokyo, and I was late for this meeting because it took my cab driver 4 hours to make a K-turn.
I'm going to use that in Japan. That's awesome.
I mean, so you knew how to write in that.
Yeah,
like,
can you write it?
Yeah, of course, I can write it. But the thing is, that's what kept me going studying, because it's like you get a payoff. You know, if you learn like French or German or everything, all the letters are the same. You know what I mean? In Japanese, it's like each little one is like a little code that you're breaking.
Exactly.
And you keep getting that little stimulus to keep going.
Yeah, it is kind of.
It helped.
Yeah, it's very unique.
It helped.
But so you're in this band, having success, I would assume.
Right.
Do you tour just Japan and Asia?
Now?
No.
But when I joined,
when I first got over there.
When I first got there, yeah, she's kind of a household name in Japan, so we toured all over Japan, which means domestic artists tour a lot more in Japan than international artists. Like, for example, like a big band might play 3 or 4 different places in Japan coming from America, but Japanese people will play in the smaller towns and maybe do 20, 25 shows. So as soon as I joined her band, I was playing in places that I'd never played before as an international artist that I've already played there for 10 years.
Right.
So it opened all kinds of new doors, and it started getting me into the things I really wanted to do.
That's interesting, man. It's now Megadeth. Do you still talk to those guys?
A couple of the guys, yeah, I have absolutely no hard feelings with the band. Love them. It's like it's deeper than family, you know, because when you're in a band, you do stuff that you wouldn't do in front of your family.
Well, of course, especially on the road.
On the road. I mean, so it's a special kind of relationship. I'm their biggest fan. I wish them nothing but the best.
How many years were you with them?
10 years.
10 years.
10 years. Yeah.
And do they? It's funny. I guess
It was their best
era.
period. Yeah.
Now, do they still tour a lot? You don't hear a lot about Megadeth anymore.
I've been completely out of the radar on what they're doing. You know.
John, you know that world kind of. John, I mean, is Megadeth?
Yeah, I mean, Dave
still
Mustaine
around?
he's around.
He's around, yeah.
I don't know if they're touring though. They've had a lot of people kind of rolling through. It seems like. But I want to get back to what happened then when you embarked on your solo career. I mean, because then you really started getting more deeply, I guess, I don't want to say experimental, but, you know, you were doing some new things.
Yeah. When you're doing a solo thing and you're in a relatively successful band, you kind of have more freedom to do what you want and not really worry about like how commercial it is and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I had already done solo albums before I even moved to Japan. But when I went to Japan, it's like all hell broke loose. I did everything exactly what I wanted to do. And the main thing that facilitated that, oddly enough, was I started doing television over there.
Yeah.
As soon as I got over there, like somebody asked me to do a TV show, and it was kind of a parody comedy of a rock music TV show, and I did it.
Right.
I had no intention to do TV. I just wanted to do music, and the show became a hit right away.
Wasn't it called like Mr. Metal?
Yeah, you know your stuff, Mr. Heavy Metal.
Yeah, Mr. Heavy Metal.
It was like a talk show or something, or
it was like a comedy send-up kind of show. It had a lot of Japanese celebrities coming on the show, and talking about their relationship with rock and heavy metal. Like people who are on TV dramas and stuff, you'd never know they're a rock fan, but they've got all kinds of rock memorabilia or whatever. Yeah, they play an instrument. So basically it would have me doing this strange guitar stuff and chatting with all these people. And it's kind of a comedy show. And like, I was really the only one who knew both of those worlds with the language and my career in music and being able to adapt like that. Since then, I've done like 600 shows.
Wow.
It's really insane.
Because it sounds scary in the beginning, but it clearly...
You're like the American guitar expert for all of Japan, right?
Right, yeah,
whenever someone's looking for that,
you're an ambassador.
Like, hey,
you're the ambassador.
I really have to be an ambassador. And the funny thing I noticed when I was watching this show backstage, I've never done a show like this in America before.
Well, there isn't any show like that.
Well, I mean, no, of course.
It's retarded.
I know. I mean, what I meant to say was it's not music related.
Right.
But in Japan, I do this kind of stuff all the time, where it's like, you know, funny guys talking and stuff, and I can chime in with something like funny to say, but I've never done it in English. Yeah. You know, so this is like really weird.
Say something in Japanese. I'm always curious about that.
何言ってほしいですか?
What did you say?
What
did you say?
What in the world do you want me to say?
I mean, that really, I mean, of all the foreign languages to learn, the Asian languages seem the most difficult.
Oh, I would
so.
think so.
Do you know any other languages?
You know, I've toured the world, so I can like find the bathroom and find food in France and Spain and all that stuff. But
I could probably get away with that. But if you're going to learn one language, I guess Spanish would be the one I've heard the most. Just growing up in the New York area, I would try that. But to learn, you know, Japanese, that's really
it's all necessity, man. If there's something you want to do and that's in the way of you getting to do it, then you'll learn it easier than like if you don't have any interest in it.
Do you feel like being so musical contributes to your ability to pick up languages?
Sure. Because my ears can work. You know, I hear something, and that probably helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that always something like languages in school or just growing up you were interested in?
You know, I lived in Germany, so I spoke German then. But Japanese, you know, it's strictly, and doing TV and stuff, you get pressure put on you. You know, you got on a live TV show, you can't make a mistake. And then, of course, I've made a million mistakes, but like that really helps you learn more than just learning in a class.
Yeah.
Sure. No, I mean, you gotta, live life.
Yeah.
Go out and experience it. That's the best way to learn it.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. Marty has done that.
Yeah. No, it sounds like it. I mean, you've embraced it and done it. We got to take a break. We come back. We'll talk more with Marty again. The new album is called Inferno. It's out in May. And we'll talk more with Marty Friedman after these words.
The Artie Lange Show. Weeknights on Audience. Only on DirecTV.